Hey there, guys. I'm back again. This is part two of your first video on the early 1920s, politics and economics. We kind of had a little stop there. Class started a little early, caught up on me there, so I apologize for that. So this video is in two parts. I hope you guys watched part one already. I have it noted on your note sheet where the break is. Now, we talked earlier, left off on the first video about new farm equipment, prices going down, those kind of things, buying on credit, that whole idea. We also saw some government corruption happen here. Warren G. Harding's cabinet was considered very, very corrupt. He had some very, very smart guys in there, okay? Very smart guys. Herbert Hoover is Secretary of Commerce, very, 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 very smart guy. Um, but some of our old buddies were basically in it for themselves. You can see them down here in the cabinet picture down here. And they kind of got in trouble with one case, public case in a second here. Um, Kind of unique about him, just a few little factorial things and playing trivia crack. Warren G. Harding was the first ever president to visit Canada. Actually, on the way back from Canada, from Vancouver, Canada, he came down to California and got sick. Wasn't feeling good for a couple of days, and all of a sudden just falls over dead 1923 while he was out in California. There were rumors about him being poisoned, that kind of thing, but the official cause of death was a heart attack. Funny thing about Warren G. Harding, he is ranked as one of the worst presidents ever in history. Most because he didn't do much. The corruption that happened within his cabinet, within his administration, his penchant for the ladies, that kind of stuff. And actually, his wife took most of his papers, his official records and stuff, and destroyed a lot of them. So we're not really sure, what kind of things happened out there either. So, but he's listed as one of the worst presidents ever in history. One of the biggest corruption issues was something called the Teapot Dome scandal. This was a big oil reserve out in Montana. That was the Navy. So basically, if another World War happened, the idea was that the U.S. could tap into this oil reserve for Navy ships, those kind of things. We have the same thing up in Alaska today, in case things are going to happen. Now, we'll move to the Department of the Interior. The Department of the Interior basically takes care of all things inside the United States. And this guy named Albert Fall was Secretary of the Interior. Now, this reserve is supposed to be, kept there for the purpose of war if we need it. All of a sudden, Albert Fall leased the land to oil companies without bids. Basically, took the government land and gave them to oil companies. Found out that Albert Fall owed these guys money and gave them the land to pay off the debt. Yeah, they're paying off debts with government land that people paid for. That did not go over well at all, let's put it that way. And so we kind of see some examples of the corruption that was taking place within the Harding administration. After Harding dies, his vice president, named Calvin Coolidge, takes over. He was really able to restore faith in the government after the scandals. Basically, kind of just keep things calm. He wanted to try and keep taxes down and allow business to have their best profits. By doing that, he adopted a program called laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is a French term, basically means no government involvement in business. So we want the government to stay out of business. Let the businesses do their thing, let them do their stuff, and we're going to stay out of it. No new laws on labor, no new laws about protections and all that kind of stuff, make more problems. Let the businesses do their job. Fun facts about this guy. I love fun facts. Fun facts are awesome, okay? Calvin Coolidge, his nickname was Silent Cal. He didn't say much. Okay, he would sit there and stare at you. And there's a funny story about this. One night at dinner, okay, he's eating dinner with these politicians and their wives, all that kind of stuff. This lady goes, "Mr. President, I bet I can make you say at least 3 words." Coolidge looks at her and goes, "You lose." And it's like 2 words, kind of funny. But anyway, what's really funny is his advisor tried to lighten up his image a little bit. They just took him out west to South Dakota and had him dress up in like Indian headdresses and funny hats, and they published all pictures. But anyway, he was very kind of straight-laced guy. Under Coolidge's laissez-faire policies, corporations flourished. Big corporations, Ford, Chevy, GM, all these big companies, car companies, all the big airplane companies, all that kind of stuff, oil companies just went boom through the roof, made lots and lots and lots of money. And people who had bought stock, the shares of those companies, and invested in those companies made lots and lots and lots of money as well. We had talked back here before about, I'll flip back here a little bit, about buying on margin and buying on credit. And all these people that invested in these different companies, they bought stock. Stock is basically a little chunk of a company, obviously, okay? And you buy, of course, their country. We talked about this earlier this year. Um, now flip back forward here again real quick. Uh, the investors that put money in these companies made tons and tons of dough. All right. People that didn't put money in these companies, they still had tough times. The industrial workers, the rural workers especially down south, had very, very tough times. Though wages did go up. And because of shorter working hours now, they also had more leisure time as well. And we had all these new gadgets. We had better communication now. More telephone lines being spread around. You kind of see the switchboard operator down here. Back then, you picked the telephone up. It was a common line. You had to say who you wanted to call. You had wireless on ships, so you had not cell phone wireless, but like it was Morse code from ships that could send back and forth. You had all this instant communication now. It was really, really cool to see just how fast things spread all over the place to buy stocks, speak, talk, all that kind of stuff. Radio was your new thing. This was the luxury good that everyone had to have. These was like obviously right now the big thing is the 60-inch TV, all that kind of stuff. You start seeing all these new radio stations pop up. CBS, NBC. Today we know them as TV stations, but based off radio stations. The big radio company was RCA. I was your big radio corporation. They sold radios. The radio you kind of see here, the $275 radio at the time. So it's like buying your big screen today, basically. Yet they've sold 11 million radios in 1 year. That was your outlet to the world. You got all this music and news, all that kind of stuff, pipe right into your house like we do for TV today. All different kinds of. You could hear news, you could hear sports, radio programs. There could be comedies, dramas, even soap operas for that matter. You start having advertising. You start advertising national goods at chain stores. Whether it be cars or soap or soda, all that kind of stuff, and even songs, even music that was considered at the time suggestive or immoral. Songs like "I Need Your Lovin'." Yeah. Listen to the radio today or watch MTV today. We'll see what Miley Cyrus says about that one, okay? But it was a huge idea of bringing all this music, different stuff into that. You also had the idea of movies. Now, originally in the 20s, silent movies, for most of the 20s, the movies were silent. Charlie Chaplin, we'll take a look at him in class, was by far the most famous performer in movies. But by 1927, we have The Talkie. The Talkie was the first ever talking picture. And the first ever talking picture was The Jazz Singer. And it was this idea that you could go to a movie and watch this story happen, listen to it, totally change the culture. Culture is about movies. In your leisure time, that is the place you go. Movies with these big, huge, lit up fronts and huge screens, and it was a place you went. Movies were a huge part of the culture this time. Thanks a lot for hanging with me, guys. I appreciate it. These notes are due on Wednesday. Make sure you guys did part 1 as well. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later. Bye.